Greetings, math friends. I am going to do a bit of a mini book haul and also look at a couple of books that I was given to review for the upcoming school year. The three books that I have to take a look at first are books that were given to me that a friend had found at a thrift store and got a great deal on them. And I haven't looked at these yet. I just have set them on my desk here and am going to look at them right now. We can already see that there is some papers from the previous owner sticking out of here. I don't want to reveal their name if there might be a name on the paper. Not the first time that I've come across a book where the work or some kind of notes or something is in the book. Sometimes you can get some really interesting notes when you find books like that. This particular book is one of the books in James Stewart's series of calculus books. James Stewart is well known for his calculus books that he has produced. He seems to have had some success in his mathematics career. He built a very interesting building there in Canada called the Integral House. It's kind of a fun place. This particular one is the Essential Calculus with Early Transcendentals. Chapter 1, we have functions and limits. We have derivatives, inverse functions. So we start out pretty fast in this textbook. Not a lot of lead up into this. Get started pretty fast. We go out through partial derivatives in Chapter 11, multiple integrals in Chapter 12, vector calculus in Chapter 13. That's the last chapter. So it covers a lot in a fairly thin book. I have other calculus books here that are, some are thicker than others here, so different people have different ways of presenting the materials. I don't see a name on some of this work here. We've got work in Chapter 6 here. Looks like we are integrating with some use of trigonometry, inverse trig functions. We have function e to the x. So a variety of nice work there. Lots of information here. Looks like this is their list of problems that they're supposed to work on. There's the list of problem sets. Then we have some more of similar types of work on that page. We have some notes stuck back here in the answer section. So they're working through, probably checking and troubleshooting. And I'm not going to show all those. The book looks to be in really good condition. There's not a lot of writing in the text itself, which is nice. It keeps the textbook looking good. So yeah, very nice copy of one of Stewart's calculus books. Kind of going in reverse order, we have pre-calculus here. This is a book that is pretty thin also. I'm not familiar with this textbook or the authors. Chapter 1 starts out with discussing functions, the real line, coordinate plane. Its focuses on linear and quadratics. Then Chapter 2 moves on to compositions of functions, inverse functions. Chapter 4 is trigonometric functions. Chapter 5 is exponential and logarithmic functions. And then Chapter 6 is conic sections, polar coordinates, parametric equations. Has a lot of nice coverage in here. So a lot of good topics presented here. I don't know if it covers the full span of what I would need it for the pre-calculus class that I teach. It is thin, so hopefully thinness means that it's concise and to the point. And then the last book to look at here is Mathematics for Elementary School Teachers. A very nice new copy of that. We have an original price tag on here from the college bookstore that says $95.10. That's not a totally unexpected price. Let's see what we have to learn as an elementary teacher. Mathematical processes. We're going to communicate, reason mathematically, and solve problems. We're going to discuss sets and whole numbers, arithmetic, strategies for mental computation, strategies for estimations, algorithms for arithmetic, divisibility, prime and composite, operations with decimals, analyzing data and probability, an introduction to geometry, an extension to geometry. In the extension, that's chapter 11, we have transformations, patterns, special polygons, and three-dimensional figures. We then move on to measurement and other explorations of algebra and coordinate geometry. There's some of the topics listed there. This is a 4th edition. This is pretty nice looking. I had picked up myself at a yard sale a few years ago this textbook, which is also for teaching elementary school mathematics. This one's a bit older here. This one is from 1972. And this newer one is from, looks to be 2008. So very similar in thickness. There's a little bit of a height difference and a little bit of a width difference. I don't normally work with elementary mathematics too much, but I also don't want to limit myself to only looking at particular education level groups. I like to be aware of a broad range of mathematics. So those are a set of very nice books. And for review, I have Algebra and Trigonometry for College Readiness. So this is, for some schools, might be like an Algebra 3 course. For other schools, potentially maybe a pre-calculus course. I did review this with the idea of it being a textbook for pre-calculus. And there were a few topics that I found that were not present that I would have liked to have seen present to have a comprehensive pre-calculus course. So some of the topics that I found missing were partial fraction, decomposition, envelopes, families of curves, the term parameter and parametric functions, piecewise functions, but with pieces that are defined by nonlinear functions. It did have piecewise functions, but all the pieces were linear pieces. So there wasn't variety there. I didn't really see the term theorem used throughout the textbook, which is really disappointing that you have a textbook at this level that is just not using the word theorem. At this level, we definitely should be seeing that term. there were lacking parts of vector theory that I would like to have seen. There's very elementary vector theory ideas in here. Some missing things are like the normal, the term orthogonal, dot products, cross products, and norms. Also, in moving towards that calculus end of things, we don't see sequences and series or a theory of limits developed in this. There is the mention of limit, but it's very specific from what I saw to one particular idea and wasn't really extended to where we would like to see it if we're going to be a pre-calculus course. I do love the artwork, though, that was on the cover. The back is pretty plain, though. And then the last one that I have for review here, this is Stats Modeling the World, 4th edition. And I wasn't familiar with this text either, and it's really interesting because the authors state that it's their goal that they be able to produce a readable textbook so that students will want to read the textbook. And as you look at this, you see that there is a lot of text. There's some graphs and graphics, but there is not a lot of calculations that they are expecting students to go through, and that was very intentional in the way they designed this. Let's take a quick look at a section of what we would say exercise sets. So as we move over to exercises here, we see at the top, it says on the computer displaying categorical data. Exercises here we have find the bar graph from a variety of sources here, and then answer these sub-questions. So we have 4 sub-questions with that. So again, the exercise itself is not really a calculation. So it's very much about comprehension. Here's the next page of exercises. We get a lot of graphical interpretation, it looks like. Here's a bar chart summarizing information. What's the second most common? Is it easier to see than a pie chart? Okay, so again, interpretation type stuff here. So this is an interesting take. As far as teaching from this, I think it would be great to be able to assign readings so that students are developing these concepts in a narrative form, and it involves some critical thinking, as you see in the problem sets. But I still think I would like to see calculations being involved in a class that's an introductory statistics class. Maybe I'm just too old-fashioned in thinking like that, but I do like the very narrative form that this has, and I think the critical thinking questions are important for students to be thinking about and understanding and how to interpret. So I do like this book, but I think it needs supplemented for the class that I would want to teach for an introductory statistics and probability class. But I do like the idea of having reading assignments that would come out of that. And that's what I have today. Hopefully you have enjoyed this. I hope you can find some mathematics in your part of the world to enjoy with others. Cheerful calculations.